is that I see a lot of people, I guess, a lot of challenges when it comes to the application. My name is Ahmed Elnaggar, and this is Monday Legal.
Good morning and welcome back to Monday Legal. My guest for today is Khaled Shivji. He is the CEO and founder of S.A.I.L. And of course, the topic of the day is legal technology and AI. And Khaled is a technology specialist, lawyer. Thank you very much for coming and for dedicating the time to be with us.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Khaled. I would like to start with giving you a few minutes to explain your legal background and legal career so our audience will learn a little bit about what brought you into the technology and what brought you into AI. Why did you choose that field?
Okay, well, I grew up actually wanting to become a doctor. I was absolutely fascinated by biology. I'm still fascinated with biology. And I was lucky enough to have received an offer to go to medical school. But I just fell short on the grades as I was leaving college. And so a very major engineering university called Brunel University in the UK offered me a course on a brand new course called Internet Engineering.
Okay.
And it was a really fascinating course at the time of the dot-com bubble, seeing how emerging technologies like e-commerce and open source software were just becoming so readily available. And as a result, I was able to win a place to work at British Telecom at their contracts division. And I was really, really into the idea of negotiating, doing deals, such that a very good solicitor that I worked with called Sabah Naqvi said to me, you really should think about becoming a solicitor, a lawyer, as we say in England and Wales, because it will give you the professional accreditation and the standing to go into meetings and negotiate with the big hitters, the other solicitors, because you have met the same professional standard that they have. And so they will no longer have one up on you. And so through that, I went to night school for 4.5 years whilst working full time. And thankfully, I qualified and then made my move to the UAE, where I've worked as a lawyer for the last 13 years, primarily for technology and telco firms, and most recently at Microsoft. And of course, in today's age, Microsoft is one of the leaders in AI. And given my technology background, I'm also fascinated with it from a technology perspective and a regulatory perspective and a commercial perspective. And so AI and tech law is my forte. And it probably will be for the next 10 years, I suppose.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, this topic is one of the hottest topics at the moment, is the use of technology in other professions out of, so it's not just something that all the technology companies are working with. I see now accounting firms, law firms, and even restaurants and people working in marketing and branding, and everybody is really so much into technology. And since you have been practicing law in a technology-based company, I think that fits very well with your passion as well, because I see and I know that you're very passionate about the technology and the use of artificial intelligence, and that probably take us to S.A.I.L. And I would like to learn more about your company and what is doing in general.
Well, thank you. So S.A.I.L, S-A-I-L, stands for Solutions and AI for Lawyers. And the reason that the acronym has a nautical theme is that earlier this year with one of my business partners, we did some market testing on the brand and the company's model, with a number of very senior general counsel looking after major firms around the world. And the most surprising meeting I had was meeting the general counsel for a very, very large multinational shipping firm. So prior to the meeting, my business partner and I thought, we're going to go into this meeting and there's going to be nothing extraordinary to learn about this company. They're probably going to be very traditional. And they turned out to be the most progressive and advanced customer that we spoke to about AI. Their general counsel had already invested in buying solutions geared on AI to test within their legal department. They had hired a lawyer to lead that part of that change. And being a multinational shipping company, they were already deploying AI to forecast risks around the world. So after that meeting, I came out completely impressed with that, such that I had to name the company after something that was nautically themed. So I called it S.A.I.L, and use the name Solutions in AI for Lawyers, because AI is AI. It's a technology. But what do? Well, we provide solutions. If you don't provide solutions using AI, you're creating more headaches for lawyers. And so what we want to be are problem solvers. We don't want to be people who are creating more problems and headaches for lawyers to use technology and to learn how to use technology as well. And that's why the focus of our company is to empower legal departments and executives in the C-suite to build their own AI adoption strategy. And what we do is we do that using our own methodology, which helps them to get from where they are now to where they need to be within the space of 12 to 18 weeks and generate an ROI by that time. And that's very, very fast compared to the market standard today of a year. And the way that we do it is by empowering legal departments to lead the AI adoption strategy rather than technology departments. Because technology departments won't consider, naturally, the compliance risks of using AI. They won't consider the contractual or regulatory risks of using AI, but they do provide services to build proof of concepts. But at that stage, they have to get sign-off from legal in most organizations to proceed with a live environment demo. And that's when legal needs to be brought in traditionally, and they've not been involved at that stage. And so there's a delay. They have to upskill and learn how to use AI. They have to learn about the POC, the proof of concepts, and it takes time.
Yeah.
So our methodology is about empowering lawyers to lead that change. And we think that investing that time for them to understand how to lead that change and how to actually embed AI in their organizations provides that extra time to really, really get their hands and get crisper on what AI could do for their organizations and how to protect the organization from potential risks.
Yeah.
And the time invested helps to save organizations an immense amount of time in the long term as well.
I think big part of the conversation, I totally agree with you on everything you say, and this is really something that will empower the industry in general. A big part of the conversation is going towards how AI can help us. I feel that there is a little bit of a missing point here where we don't focus much on how can we integrate it easier into the skill set of the legal professionals, because there's a lot of legal professionals who are amazing in whatever they do, and they're also enthusiastic into using the AI, but it's not easy to understand that now they can review the contract in a different way than they used to review the contract. They can find the emails in a better way or navigate their documents in using the AI in a better way. How can these solutions happen? What sort of help can you do in this regard?
Well, how long do we have today for today's podcast?
Good. Go ahead.
Well, before I go ahead, the first thing I want to do is to recognize and acknowledge all of the work that legal technology vendors have done to build solutions and technology platforms for law firms and in-house legal departments. I can safely say that without the effort and the drive and the investment they've made into the legal profession, I wouldn't be where I am today. They've created that market. They've trained lawyers and skilled them up on how to use AI and legal tech, and they deserve recognition for that as well. My methodology is built around using an organization's technology stack, what they've already bought in terms of licenses, for example, to use Microsoft 365 Copilot, or for example, to use Gemini for Google Workspaces, and to invest time in maximizing the opportunities to generate outputs using those platforms rather than merely buying another solution or another platform from the market. And the way that we do that is by, first of all, encouraging lawyers to get over their fear of technology. And again, I want to do another acknowledgement here that becoming a lawyer is very, very difficult. And people who've trained and invested time and money to go to law school have given up and made sacrifices elsewhere in their lives. Of course, that may have been to sacrifice the opportunity to use technology and to become better at using technology along the way. whilst they were studying to become lawyers. And so I'm very cognizant of the fact that lawyers haven't had the chance to expose themselves to technology as much as perhaps other disciplines have in finance or, for example, engineering or other disciplines as well. And so what we do is we help lawyers to get over their fear of AI and technology. And we start with prompting. We start with teaching them how to prompt using a generative AI tool, for example, like ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity. And we use a combination of non-confidential data and prompts to enable lawyers to practice how to extract information from documents, how to then present information which they've managed to extract from documents, and then how to develop prompts to help them to get better at doing that going forward. Now, that in itself provides a lot of skills-based training on the way that lawyers prompt. And then hopefully with the right tools in their enterprise, they'll have the ability to use those prompts. And so here's a health warning for everyone who's listening and watching today, is that never, ever, ever put client documents into a public freemium, free to use AI tool. It is so risky to do that because any data that goes in there and any prompts that go in there will be used to train the foundational model. And you really don't want someone halfway around the world who's asked for an M&A template to be spitting out the names of the parties that you yourself have been working on advising, simply because that was the template that ChatGPT was trained on at that moment in time. The best way to do this, however, is to use the generative AI tools that your enterprise has purchased for use. They sit on your cloud. And as a lot of the hyperscalers and AI studios say, that data remains your data. It is not used to train foundational LLMs that power that generative AI agent or platform as well.
Right. I think your professional help is not just important to make the lawyers know how to use AI in a better way to serve their work. I think it is also important for not to use AI in the wrong way, to leak data or to make mistakes that can cost them the license, for example, or they cost them the confidentiality of the information of their clients.
Absolutely. I mean, so this strays on to the topic of what's called safety, AI safety, and the broader topic of responsible AI.
Right.
And the two disciplines merge when it comes to client attorney privilege and how to protect that when you're using artificial intelligence to generate outputs for work for clients. And the basic rule that we've discussed today is just don't use a freemium tool to do that, but do experiment using dummy data, synthetic data. You can ask ChatGPT to generate synthetic contracts for you or synthetic reports that are based on fictitious data, and to then generate legally useful prompts that you can use to test in ChatGPT if you like the way you want to go to extract information and to pretend if it was a real contract, and how to get good at analyzing it using AI.
And part of what we're doing is, what you are doing is also to recommend, because maybe these firms or these corporate councils have no idea about, they want to start, they don't know where to go to from that point. It's like, we want to use AI, but they don't know whether to use ChatGPT or any other legal tech model that is already in the market. So you probably are able to direct them based on their requirements.
We do that, and we do that a lot. And the reason for that is that generative AI platforms are powered using something called a large language model. Some of them have what's called a small language model, but broadly speaking, they're large language models. They've been trained on billions of what are called tokens of data.
Mm-hmm.
And this is called training data. And a lot of these LLMs have embedded in them what are called parameters and weights. And these are the ways that the LLM can analyze data that it's been trained on. And this is how it gets good at doing specific tasks or performing different functions. I'll explain. So, for example, some generative AI engines that are powered by ChatGPT are very good at analytical reasoning. So if it's powered by ChatGPT 4.5, or ChatGPT 4.0. It'll be very good at providing analytical reasoning, and what's called chain of thought reasoning, showing you how it's working out a problem and then helping to guide you in terms of the solution that you may need. There are other generative AI platforms that are very good at financial models and analyzing those, as well as other models which are very good at analyzing contractual information because they've been trained on contractual data. And so what we do is we, first of all, analyze from what the client wants in terms of the use cases, in terms of how they want to use AI. And using our industry knowledge, we pretty much have a good idea already about what they're likely to want to use AI for. And we then seek to match them up with the right model that they can use internally on their cloud so that they can benefit from the use cases that it offers.
Do you see that the cost of such subscriptions or such models is something that would be a wall between the legal professions and the GCs into using the AI? Because training is a cost. The subscription model of whatever solution is also another cost. The time that the lawyers will will invest into, because billable hours, my friends. So the time that the lawyers are not going to be billing, they would be spending in these things. So do you think this would be a little bit of an obstacle in the way for professionals to develop?
I do. And I think that the reason for that is perception. Lawyers who've been trained to bill by the hour have been trained on how to maximize those hours in order to get as much client work done such that they can bill for their time.
Yeah.
It's the way that the legal model has worked for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And that is the way that they've been trained. And that knowledge has been passed down to them by very senior lawyers who have trained them. What we try to do, though, is with AI, is we try to show lawyers how, on an individual productivity basis, AI can help them in their day-to-day work. We show them use cases and we demonstrate use cases. For example, when they arrive in the office, how AI can perform automatic summaries of cases that have been issued by the courts the day before, or provide a summary of the latest news or legal news for them without them having to research legal databases or the news outlets to get that for them. And we then show them how it can be used to then accelerate client work going forward, such that they can actually get more work done in the hours and be more efficient, such that they can start talking to their clients about more strategic work, which actually comes with it a much higher value to their clients. And remember that lawyers are all about not just providing legal advice, but also providing solutions, and their clients expect them to provide solutions. So the way we could do that is by helping them to move to matters which are more solutions orientated. There are, and it's worth mentioning that there are state bar associations like the State Bar of California that have recognized this paradox. They've recognized the paradox that, look, lawyers are expected to use AI. Their clients are expecting them to use AI. And they're expecting them to use AI because they're charging $2,000 to $3,000 an hour to produce legal work, and their clients want to save money. So the California State Bar said to its members, okay, if you use AI on a client matter, you can bill your clients for the cost of the time that you spent learning how to prompt and prompting to get solutions out of the AI engines that you used. And so it enables the lawyers in California to enter into some sort of cost recovery for the time they spend training using AI, or using AI to maximize the results on a client matter or maximize the output of advice on a client matter. So I think that that's a very, very good balance to provide in this day and age in terms of what lawyers could do using AI. It certainly doesn't speak for what might be the case in, say, 5 years' time, but it does mean that lawyers have a fighting chance of being able to argue that the billable hour model for them should persist.
There is this term that from time to time I hear it, and I think I heard a few things about it as well. The term that comes is AI agent. And I learned, or what I understand about it, is that you can create an AI agent to do a specific task on your behalf, or to perform a set of tasks in sequence or on occasional basis. Can you please explain more of that? Because we need to understand what is an AI agent.
Okay, so generative AI platforms today in 2025 are very manually driven. They're manually driven because at this moment in time, the only way that we can gain responses from those prompts or those generative AI agents is to type or speak to them using natural language, and they will then spit out the response for you. But people are starting to become very wise about using these generative AI engines such that they might want to then ask the generative AI agent to automate the next steps for them. So I'll give you an example. I have on my cloud a generative AI agent platform called Manus. It's got MANUS, and it runs on the DeepSeek model. So it's an open source model. And Manus is very good at chewing through large amounts of data and providing really excellent outputs. But I'm a lawyer. I want to know about what's happening in the news every day. And so I've set up Manus to automate the retrieval of the latest news stories concerning AI every single day at 8:45 p.m., such that it then produces a report that I can read on my phone, and then I can analyze it, and then it will then provide me with the option to then go deeper into some of those reports that it provides, because it's already gone and learned what I want it to do. It learned about the prompt that I've inputted in terms of information that I want it to retrieve. It knows that it has to run that prompt every day. It knows about the sources that I trust, and it will only look at those sources. And it will then produce a consolidated report for me, rather than me having to, at every iteration, step by step, telling it to do that at 8:45 p.m. And that's a very good example of how an AI agent works, but that's only on a standalone basis. The real power of AI agents comes when standalone agents start talking to each other. And this is where the magic really happens.
Let me get this straight, because I want to make sure that I understand it very well. You're saying that you can train an AI agent, or you can create an AI agent to get some information, and you can get another AI agent to receive that information and do a certain task. Is that what you're trying to say?
Absolutely right. So the way to conceptually think about this is to think about it like an orchestra. I love music, so this is a great example that I love using. You nominate one AI agent to be your conductor. That's the role that you assign to what's called an orchestrator. And the conductor stands in front of a very large orchestra, and she or he will enable the orchestra to play a beautiful symphony, because she or he knows when each category of instrument should be playing and how fast they should be playing, and can detect when some of the notes are being played out of tune as well. It doesn't mean that they have to know how to play every instrument, but they do have to know how they work together and what the sound should feel like to them and how it should resonate with them. And that's what an AI orchestrator does. But the real challenge that a lot of these AI agents have, whether they be, for example, Copilot AI Studio from Microsoft, or whether they be Gemini AI Studio from Google or others, is that they need a way to talk to each other. So going back to our analogy, a conductor stands up and waves her baton, and she uses the baton to direct different parts of the orchestra to start playing at certain points during a symphony. And the way that translates into how AI agents work is that they have to have a common language. And thankfully, that's been developed now, and it's available already. So Google led the charge by developing what's called the A2A model, agent to agent. And Microsoft signed up to that as well. And what it now means is that once that goes into AI in the mainstream, AI agents will be able to talk to each other, and they'll be able to orchestrate responses from each other. Now, first of all, you might ask yourself, but why? I can just use a standalone agent to do all the work that I want. Why would it need to talk to other AI agents? It's because, as we covered earlier, different agents have been trained using different LLMs and different training data.
Which leads that the agent perform well in certain tasks than other agents, which means that I'm going to get the best agent who works with analysis to transfer some information to the best agent to do contracts, and then goes to the best agent to do mathematics, and someone else who's going to do, I don't know, sales job or something. And by orchestrating all of them, I can create a company. I don't need more than just a couple of AI agents.
Theoretically. So there are platforms out there that sell this idea to people that you can establish a company and have AI agents running that company for you. There's an open source platform that's being heavily advertised called N8N, and it's very powerful and it's cheap to use. And people can install and run it locally on their laptops or on their cloud if they set one up. But it's worth having a go at playing with it and actually using it, because it gives you an idea about how to get the process between one agent and another agent talking to each other. And lawyers might be quite surprised once they start using this platform to how intuitive it is. It's very, very visual. It doesn't require much coding. It's what's called a low-code solution. And so there isn't much to do in terms of learning how to code. And so there's a bit of a cheat that you can use here, which is to have N8N running on your laptop at home. And on your laptop, also having a separate instance of ChatGPT running. You can ask ChatGPT to talk you through the steps that are required to install N8N and to set up an AI agent. And it will walk you through those steps. And it might even be able to see your screen while you do it, so it can point out any errors or enhancements that you can do. And will train you up on how to use it and generate a bit of JSON code if you need that as well. And that is a really, really efficient way of learning how to use these low-code programs and platforms, because it doesn't require prior coding experience. And so I'd advise all of your listeners and viewers to try this out. You really can't go wrong with it. But getting over that fear of using the technology is half the battle. Once you're there, I think the lawyers that listen to your show will be very, very surprised about what it can actually do for them.
I mean, one of the best things is that 50% of the audience are Gen Z in terms of the age, and maybe 80% of them are lawyers. So I think it's your message received by the right audience. And I think I'm myself right now listening to you, thinking of how many applications I'm going to ask you after the episode that you can help me with, because this is really great. There's so many repetitive work that I don't want to do. And there's so many repetitive work that my colleagues are doing that I would like them not to do, because it's better for them to optimize their time, work more on creative work or more analytical work, or I don't know, spend more time with the kids at home than just do this repetitive work that is time consuming. And I think the AI can help a lot with.
100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. I think that AI does provide that productivity gain for people to visually see how long their day is going to be, and to cut down on a lot of administration that they have to do, whether it be producing invoices or checking client matters if you're working for a firm, to see just how much work you've done. Everyone hates timesheeting, and we have to produce, if we work in private practice, timesheets. And so AI can actually go back and look at the outputs that you produced on a client matter and can make a reasonable calculation about the amount of time you spent working on those matters, simply based on the complexity of a document and how long you spent working on it. And it can extract that information and produce a timesheet for you. If you are conducting legal research, LexisNexis recently teamed up with a legal tech platform called Harvey to combine the LexisNexis search function with the AI that Harvey can offer. And other legal databases are doing similar things as well, such as Thomson Reuters and the Practical Law Company too. So this is where law firms can benefit. And I think that speed of execution in terms of being able to analyze new legislation is going to really help lawyers to really be able to provide a more comparative view for their clients. Because the main advantage for them is that they can track legislation and how it progresses around the world and cross-compare how that legislation compares to best practice in other countries. And so one of the tasks that I did last year was to compare the progress of regulations concerning AI. And I used AI to do that for me. So I downloaded the draft bills from the United States, executive orders, bills that were going through in the United Kingdom, Europe, such as the AI Act and other countries. And I asked the internal AI platform that I used to generate a cross-comparison study of what those legislation might cover if they went into law. And as a lawyer, it was fascinating to see how they differed and the approach to risk that they took in terms of what they were saying to the companies that they were regulating about how they should use AI as well. This is just one case study of hundreds, thousands of case studies that you can use AI for, which lawyers can now start to exploit generative AI for.
Well, I think it's fascinating. All what you're saying is really fascinating, and it just shows how the future is going to be very AI driven, and it's not only the legal profession. I think in every field. What's your advice then? I mean, it seems like there's so many things that we have to catch up on. And what's your advice when it comes to, I don't know, I'm from the private practice field, and there's a lot of in-house counsels and so on. What do you advise each of us to do?
Well, I think the first thing is to find something about AI that you really, really are passionate about. No one can become an expert in every field of discipline concerning technology. It's impossible. And just as lawyers, we specialize in specific disciplines of law.
Yeah.
Pick a topic about AI that really, really gets you excited. That you would read an academic paper about that, or you'd want to watch a documentary on YouTube about that particular topic and study up on it and become really good at it. And 50% of your listeners are from the Gen Z generation. Well, Gen Z are wonderful at sharing information online.
Yeah.
So research, talk to people and find out about what other people are thinking in the legal community about that particular topic and how it impacts their lives and their professional lives as well. Because by coming up with topics that you're interested in, not only are you brushing up and getting crisper on those topics, but you're also developing your professional brand in the market. And that's really important today in the legal profession, to have a professional brand online and to be known for a specific subject. I know lots of lawyers online, just as you do, who are regularly posting about topics such as arbitration or data protection. And they are the people that I would go to for advice if I ever needed to look up sources concerning those disciplines. Well, your listeners can do exactly the same thing. And the next thing to do is to develop those skills that we talked about earlier. It's to really, really get over that fear of using that AI. But as a Gen Z, or a member of the Gen Z generation, I don't think they have that problem. I think the problem that they have is persuading the managing partners and the senior managers that they report to actually invest in AI.
Or to spend money on it. Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a cost, and the decision, if someone is going to drive this, is going to be the people who like it, whether they are Gen Zs or old guys like me. But it is on us. It's in our hands. I mean, if you want to join the troops of the smart lawyers of the future, you're going to have to jump on that boat for sure and sail.
And sail. Thank you for that. I think I've got one piece of advice for your listeners, which is that a very wise lawyer once told me that it's very, very difficult to convince a room full of millionaires that they've been doing everything wrong up until now. And so pick your battles. Pick the partners that you really want to impress upon, who should adopt AI and invest in AI on behalf of the firm. If you work for a corporation, talk to your general counsel or the head of risk and compliance to understand how far along they are in their AI strategy as well. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what they say to you once you find the enablers in your organization who would want you to advise them about how they should be using AI as a member of the Gen Z generation as well. And I think this is where the synergy comes in. This is where the skills that Gen Zs and millennials have outweigh the skills that we bring as Generation Xers, because they're so intuitive with technology. They're so geared toward technology and they're so good at using it that we now need to seek advice from them.
Absolutely.
And so my advice to all of them is to say, look, don't ask what your bosses can do for you. Ask what you can do for them concerning AI. I think they'll want to listen to you. I think they'll want to hear from you. And just like we've been talking today, they'll want to find out about your opinions concerning AI as well.
It's really amazing. A topic I would never stop talking about. This, just for your information, this episode we did not prepare. We did not script. It's just coming from our genuine interest in technology, our genuine interest in artificial intelligence. This is the future. You have to embrace it, whether you are working with someone who's enthusiastic about it or not. It doesn't matter. If you like it and if you're interested in it, pursue this knowledge. And I advise everybody who is interested to understand more about technology, the use of AI and AI agents, to reach out to Khaled, try to learn more about it and understand it and embrace it, and maybe you can again jump on that boat and sail. Thank you very much for coming here, and thanks for all the amazing knowledge and for giving us your time and your expertise. It was amazing, fun, and knowledgeable.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Khaled. So this is your dose from Monday Legal. See you next week.